Welcome to ClickerBait, the Last of Us TV show podcast, where tonight 3 gamers come together to unpack the HBO show, and all 3 of us have one thing in common. The Last of Us is our favorite game of all time. All time!
All time.
All time. I'm your host, Jerica, and just a heads up, this episode is going to be full of spoilers beyond the show. So if you haven't played the games, you've been warned, continue at your own risk, yada, yada, yada. But what makes our show different is that, hey, we played the games, we've lived the story, brick in hand, we've killed a few clickers, made really tough choices, and even wiped the sweat or maybe a few tears off of our controllers. Maybe a little urine, depending on the situation. You never know.
I have a piss problem.
For that, or you just, the game's so good that we're literally just peeing on our controllers.
Yeah.
So yeah. We're breaking down the show through that lens, not the urine, but just the fact that we played the game. What's changed, what hits harder, and what might be coming next. We go live every Monday night here on twitch.tv/JKGamesPodcast, which technically we only have one more night that we'll be live talking about The Last of Us, so next week. But after that, we will continue JK Games. And we're coming back in a big way. Do I know what that way is? Maybe. Maybe. Kayla, do you?
I mean, I do, but are we sharing?
Okay, cool. Yeah,
no,
we're not. Okay. Yeah.
Am I involved? No.
Could be. if you wear your Princess Peach, is Peach or
Daisy.
Is it Daisy? God damn it. I'll never
Put it on right now.
They confuse me so much, both of the women.
Oh.
In Mario's life.
Oh,
it's coming. It's
we out here. Oh God, there's just so much like dust and shit.
I thought you were like, oh God, there's a spider in here.
No, I've not taken it back to where it lives. It just has sat on the floor here for 2 weeks.
Wow. That's amazing.
You never know when you might need it. It's sort of like with me, and I have like 3 mullets now, and they just sort of hang out nearby. You never know when you'll need a mullet.
Wigs. You mean wigs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Never
it's
know.
Mullets.
Yeah.
Is it weird that I would have actual mullets versus wigs?
Well, yeah. At first, I just didn't click that you were talking about wigs, so I thought you were saying that on your head somehow are 3 mullets, and I was like, I don't understand.
I was worried
the physics of that.
I was worried maybe that meant I've killed people for their scalps. I was like, do I need to rephrase this? Let me make sure people don't know I'm actually taking scalps from people.
Jerica officially canceled.
Yeah, it's finally someone needs to. But tonight is a pretty big deal because it was the series finale, or the season finale, not the series, not yet. We'd be really pissed if it was.
Ooh, yeah.
But now that we finally have reached the end of Last of Us season 2, it still hurts us just as much as playing the game. But I really want to talk about the real heartbreak here. They left Shimmer in the record store, safe and sound. And for what? What's the point? Why did you let Shimmer live? Why? You had a chance to let her die, and you fucking wasted it. Neil, Craig, what is the point? I need to know. They're cowards. Let the horse die. So, before we dive into the lack of horse killing, I just want to, make sure that the other 2 here, because they're just as upset about the horse being alive. No, Kayla's not. She added a lot of notes about Shimmer still alive, yay, in the show notes, and I was pretty upset by that. I need you to be more angry about the horse being alive, Kayla. How are you tonight, Kayla?
I'm doing so good. And the least of my concerns is that the horse is still alive. Let me just tell you right now. Of all the hills I'm going to die on, it ain't that one, brother.
This is mine.
But I'm very happy to be here. I am sad that it is the season finale and that we only have one more episode of us chatting about this, but that doesn't mean it's the last time you'll hear us talk about The Last of Us, and it's definitely not the last time you'll see us with Patrick, as we have many other shows together that you can go check out, dropindropoutpod.com. You can also go to jkgamespodcast.com, either or. Both you should navigate your way to our Discord, because we have a lot of cool things going on there. We have our own channel where we talk about, what we probably should do is have like a permanent Last of Us thread within our Discord, because
we really should.
We really should. There's a lot to discuss past this point, expectations, what's going to happen. And you can also find merch there like this if you would like. That will still continue to be up and available throughout the year. So if you want to go check it out, head there. It is there
Boom.
for you to enjoy. Happy to be
Bangers.
here.
All bangers.
Happy to chat. And I'm excited because we don't know what any of each other thinks about this
Mhm.
episode. Like, you know, throughout the season, we've been kind of loose about like what we'll share with each other beforehand and what we'll share in the Discord. But all of us have been pretty like tight-lipped about how we feel. So who knows? It could be the rare occasion where Patrick is in love with it and Jerica hates it. Who's to say?
I
We'll
was a
find
good
out.
boy. I didn't go tell all my thoughts to everybody.
Patrick,
Yes.
how are you?
I'm just fine. Thanks for asking. Happy to be here as always. Very sad that this is my penultimate episode of Monday Nights with you both.
Aw.
However, it's been nothing but a joyous occasion, a joyous ride. Been so happy to be here talking about my favorite thing, The Last of Us. Jerica, I do have unfortunate news though.
What?
I have been waiting to bring this up because I didn't want to make a scene. I didn't want to spoil anything. However, the lawyers at PETA have reached out and they have given a cease and desist on your verbal abuse for Shimmer. They're getting the big dogs involved. No pun intended. I think we maybe need to tone it down on how much we want the horse to
Yeah.
die. It seems.
I might have made an oopsie. I'm about to start selling a shirt. Does it stop the
Oh.
Does it stop the
You know
selling of merch?
Let's just sell it. Don't worry about it.
You know, well, I'll let the chat help me decide. Is this something that PETA will call the cops on me for? That's all I need to know. Give me just a second. Here it is. It's coming.
Shout out to Game Over Cholo must be in support because he subscribed.
Whoa.
Thank you for joining and thank you for being here. They missed this whole season, but wanted to hear our thoughts. On
Well,
season
this
two.
is
Hell
the
yeah.
best part. You're about to see something pretty great. This is the shirt I've designed for season 2. My thoughts are all here. It's if
This is
you
about-
listening to the podcast, I've designed a shirt for me riding on Shimmer. I'm dressed up as the Grim Reaper. And the shirt says, "I ain't dead yet." That's what Shimmer's thinking. But bitch, I'm coming for your ass. I'm on
Unreal.
you. I'm coming from hell to kill the horse. But apparently I can't say that anymore. So
Aaron East Food said they would buy that. So
Is
Okay,
there are the colors good that we can have this embroidered, or is this
I'm a little scared about the I might order something embroidered just to see what it looks like. I would be entertained by
could
it.
be good, could be cute.
pocket tee embroidered with Shimmer on it.
Oh,
I would
Yes.
definitely.
You could do the thing where like it's behind the pocket and it's just like Shimmer's head above, and then you pull the pocket down and it's like Shimmer's bones.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. That almost reminds me
Yeah.
of that shirt that guy wears. That's a professional. I think he plays darts professionally, and whenever he gets like I almost called it a hole in one. What do you call it? Bullseye? Is that-
Bullseye.
he like has a little window to his nipple, and he like opens it and wiggles his nipple. And-
Wow.
Have y'all ever
You
seen
know,
that?
We could add
You know,
that as
I
a feature.
don't keep up with the professional dart community, but I will try better to stay in touch, to stay in the loop.
Not Breaks do misgendering Shimmer in the chat.
Oh,
first of
no.
all,
Oh no.
he died.
I'm
no.
unwell.
Oh, is,
This
is
design
Shimmer,
works.
Oh, is Shimmer not a lady horse?
Shimmer's a lady horse. That's why I
Shimmer's
said
a lady
Breaks do
horse.
I was
misgendered.
like, oh no, did I
Shimmer.
say? I didn't know if I did something to the design. Does that horse have junk? Or
Stop.
I didn't double check. That's where my brain's going. I was like, oh no, where did I mess up? Okay, we're good.
Shimmer has beautiful perky breasts.
Just like me.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Some overall thoughts, some high level thoughts of episode 7.
Like, oh God, this is the best Last of Us TV show podcast on the planet. I'm so glad I get to do this with y'all. And hopefully
Official one.
more other seasons. You know, Craig said he needs another season. He needs more than
Yeah.
3 to tell this story. So we'll be.
Interesting.
I can't wait to see what
Next
shirts
week's
come from
episode
next
will be
season.
good.
Yeah, I
for
can't
sure.
wait. Well, let me pull up the doc again to make sure I'm
Yeah.
not forgetting anything, because this episode's a little different because I'm mixing up some stuff. Because I actually went to Discord and we all wanted to ask some questions before. And if
Mhm.
any of you actually like watched the episode, like I thought like it'd be fun to sort of put our thoughts out there and then reflect later. It'd be fun. So before the episode aired, I actually asked the Discord a few questions, and I'm going to read them out loud right now.
Yeah.
So my first question was, what's one thing you need to see in the season 2 finale to walk away satisfied? Heroic headgear, which I think he's here live. Heroic. Oh yes, I see the last comment you left, and that is hilarious. Maybe I'll work on that. It's not safe for work, but I can. For this question, he's like, I think we absolutely need Ellie breaking down, questioning everything after killing Mel, finding out she was pregnant, and also seeing Tommy get shot. We need to see it. Have most everyone believe he's dead until we find out what actually happened in season 3. Which is funny because in the game, I remember immediately I did think he was dead already. I don't know if y'all did.
Not to like jump ahead to the very end of the episode, but
go
I
ahead.
also in my notes watching the episode, I was like, I wonder why they changed it to where we don't because it's very clear Tommy's not dead in the way that they shot it. Because I thought I remembered him being shot in the head in the game, and like you think he's dead. And I rewatched that scene today, and it doesn't happen unless it happens in a later point. But it was like I was looking out very clearly for it. I was like, wait, I thought Tommy gets shot, unless they changed it for the part 2 remaster. But do you remember that pretty clearly too, right? Like because Jesse gets shot in the face. We see Jesse die, and then I thought like we saw Abby shoot Tommy on the ground. But okay, let's see, who's that? Aaron eats food, says he thinks it happens later. Okay,
so
like
in the Abby's version of events?
In Abby's version.
version.
Hashtag Abby's version. Yeah, no, I guess I thought that was Ellie's version, so I was like, oh, that's weird that we're not going to think all off season that Tommy's dead. But anyway, sorry to jump ahead, but because it came up.
You know, like it's because I just remember playing the game and thinking, oh shit, he's probably dead. And it's been a long time since I played, so like what made me think that then? So like, yeah, it must have been that perspective. Interesting. I want to go back and replay. It's been too long.
Very interesting.
I started, but I haven't progressed much else because Expedition 33 has been taking over my life. So, yeah.
Let's see. Continue. My next one, Josh, High Score Weekly. Ellie needs to kill the pregnant lady, Mel. That's all he says. I'm just kidding. The viewers need to see her brutality, though. And we also hopes it ends on "you wasted it."
Well, look at you.
You got everything you wanted from this episode, Josh.
Almost.
Let's see. Aaron eats food. Aaron eats food also here. I need to feel like Ellie has gone too far. I think killing Mel would fit that perfectly. We got that at the beginning of Ellie's revenge story with her killing Nora. But I hope they can pull off Ellie's shift towards obsessive violence. And then I have one more question that I wanted to wrap up, and it's just because the answer is funny. So far, what's been your Joel died and all I got was this lousy t-shirt moment from season 2? And High Score Weekly said the silica packets on the guitar case. And amazing. I also have to agree, but also Shimmer being alive is the other one. Anywho.
Can we do, I think last week we forgot, or at least I forgot to do like what we thought of the episode in general before going into like the beat by beat. Do we want to do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
I like it.
Oh yeah. Who wants to go first?
You should go first, Patrick.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so glad. The more I have sat with this episode, especially upon a second viewing, I like this episode a lot. And I'm starting to, I think, come to terms with the fact that the pacing is just gonna be fucked. And they're gonna be rushing through shit. And I think I'm at a point now where I'm mostly okay with it. I still have like critiques, and I'm probably gonna get heated at some point tonight. But I think overall, when I think about where we landed at the end of the season, I think the second season, I think I still prefer season 1 to season 2, which we'll talk more about next week. But I think this was a good way to end the season, and I think overall I was pleased with this episode. I liked it a lot more than last week's episode.
Nice.
I'm in the same boat, no pun intended, but my boat didn't crash. I guess you don't crash a boat, it capsizes. There we go.
There you go.
Definitely, I I was really concerned just because like how much we saw from the preview. I was like, oh my God, how are they going to put all of this in here? And then there's a scene with Ellie and the Seraphites that I don't remember from the game. Like, what the fuck? They're going to have no time in this episode to like really nail down and hit those high moments. But for me, like overall, like, yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think this is it's definitely I don't know, maybe next episode we rank the episodes, but it's definitely higher on my list.
Yeah.
And I am so glad. And the point where they decided to end it, I think, was chef's kiss. I think that was cool. I was glad they made that sort of like made that similar to the game. That might work out for them, but we'll talk about that later also. But yeah, overall, I love the episode. It was fun. There's a couple things in there I'm going to nitpick here in a little bit. But yeah, good episode.
Kayla?
I think I feel similarly. I overall really enjoyed it. I think like what I keep telling myself and what I've said to other people is like I think it made sense. A lot of the choices they made in this episode made sense for the show version of Ellie and not where they've decided to take her character and less of the like game version, because as we've discussed like over and over again throughout the season, it is different. They're approaching things differently, and I have not accepted is the wrong word, but I'm treating it as an individual for the experience that I had with the finale, at least. And overall, I liked it. I think there are definitely things that I would have changed, but that's why we're here and why we're discussing this. But yeah, I had a good time. I enjoyed it. I think it would land in probably like the top couple of this season, but I agree with Patrick. I did overall as a whole enjoy season 1 better. But yeah, I'm excited to like break it down because there's definitely like some really high scenes for me, some low scenes for me, and then some like middle. But I think overall the scenes that I liked outweigh the scenes that I didn't like. I think
I agree. I'm right there with you because like there's a couple scenes that we'll get to where I'm like I really don't like that this scene even happened, but then there's other scenes where it's like, oh, this is so good that I'm fine with it.
And there was some straight rips from the game that I feel like when they needed to happen, they did happen, and I'm happy with that. So yeah.
I'm so glad they were able to get like all these key moments in this one episode though. When I heard it was like only gonna be 50 minutes.
I know.
I think you mentioned that last week, Patrick, and I was like, oh God. It just terrified me.
I was concerned. And like I do think like I not to just completely change what I said because that's not what I'm doing, but like I do think the final third of this episode, the pacing is so fucked. Like time that we spend with the Seraphite scene, I'm like, whatever. I guess I'm glad that we're now getting to this next thing, but I'm like, what a waste of time, and to only be like 45 seconds. So much ground is covered in the back half of the episode, but overall, yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. But of course, what we do is we'll pick it apart. Don't worry. We'll get there.
I cannot wait to get to that part. I cannot wait to get to that scene. All right. Kayla, thank you so much for writing our recap this week. It's great. I love we're starting with Took an Arrow to the Knee Part 2, my other favorite video game.
Can I share something really quick before we move on? Okay, so one thing that you guys haven't really seen is the way that we do, because our episode recaps, we handwrite them. Majority of the time it's been Jerica. It started out with Patrick, and I've done a couple. So thank you, Jerica, for mostly owning that. But we have little titles for each like section. So we decide like where we're going to break it out and where we're not. Sometimes I think we've mentioned them, but they're really funny. So we always try to like have them be like relevant, but funny. Anyways, that's all. Took an Arrow to the Knee Part 2.
Part 2. We open with Jesse bringing a wounded Dina back to the theater. He's preparing to push the arrow through the leg to get it out of there. He's like offering her alcohol, which I'm like, oh, hey, this is how they're going to show that. Oh, that's how Jesse's going to pick up that she's pregnant. It's like, oh, I'm not drinking alcohol. Before you do this, they exchange a knowing look. And then an even more traumatized Ellie arrives back at the theater where patched up Dina tends to her wounds after Ellie removes her shirt. Woo-hoo! I can't do that whistle sound. Hubba, hubba, wow, wow. Ellie admits that it was too easy to torture the information out of Nora and that she left her to die after getting the clue of the whale and the wheel, right? It was like the
whale and the wheel.
Yeah. I thought she got real country there. Whale. You're never going to know where Nora is. I was like, oh, like a whale. Okay.
Whale?
Whale. whale. And then, of course, like Ellie's thinking, like, did she really deserve that? She confesses to her that the reason why Abby killed Joel and the truth about what happened in Salt Lake. Dina sort of takes a second to take all that information in, looks sort of closed off from Ellie after this conversation happens, and then states to her, like, hey, we need to get home, and just lays down. So, y'all think this extra, like, one, I'm excited that this dialogue happened between them because they don't really talk about it in the game.
Yeah.
I've sort of been hinting towards, like, hey, I think they're going to talk about it. It seems like this might be a conversation they have at some point this season. Does this confession add depth to the scene, throw us off? Like, what do you think?
I was a bit confused at first because after the confession, Dina is like, we need to go home. Or we need to turn back, whatever she says. And I'm like, I didn't quite understand the reaction at first, but I think it, for Dina, feels a bit like a betrayal of like, I, risked my life, my baby's life now, but you didn't give me all the facts going into this, I guess. But yeah, overall, I did like this addition. It's the kind of thing where like in this and later where Jesse, like we addressed that Jesse knows about the kid this time, whereas in the game he doesn't. I like that they add these things in of like giving just a little bit more color, a little bit more stakes, a little bit more connection between the two characters. So I liked it. There were other parts of this scene I didn't love, but that I did like that addition personally.
Before we get into like what you didn't like, so I want to hear it in just a second. I do like, it did sort of throw me off that Dina got so shut down after hearing this information because like the whole time, even knowing, I feel like at this point Dina's been around Joel long enough to know like maybe some of his backstory. It was just weird that seemed to be a major thing that shut her off from all of it when she's been so gung-ho on like helping Ellie get this revenge on him. So that was a weird part of but overall, like, I'm glad, I like that they talked about it, and I just don't want this, I didn't want that the conversation be the part that turns Dina against Ellie's sort of revenge arc situation. But Kayla, did you have any thoughts on this scene?
Yeah, I like this like as an idea, and I think I agree with Patrick where it's I do think that it's nice to have the connection between Ellie and Dina and like that moment. And I know it makes sense that it hits hard for Dina because she did have a closer relationship with Joel than previously, in the game at least. But I couldn't help but thinking, and my husband felt the same way, this should have been where we found out. I think this should have been where we as the viewers found out.
About that Ellie knows?
Not that Ellie knows. I think this should have been where we found out that, well, actually, yeah.
Oh, you mean about Abby?
Maybe both. One or the other.
Sure.
I think that at this point, it should have been a reveal. It felt like it was a reveal. And I think it would have been well placed as either a reveal about Abby's dad or a reveal about that Ellie knows that like Joel, what Joel,
I agree,
Ellie knows what
like,
Joel did.
From the get-go, the episode 1 is when we find out that Abby's dad has died.
Well, yeah, and
was a doctor, right? And that was so soon, and that was like our first part of the season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, that could have fit. Like I agree.
I feel like we didn't get any reveals at the end of the season. Like I still like where we ended it, but like I feel like some of it could have been saved, and I think it really couldn't have for the way that they laid it out, especially with the flashback episode, if they wanted to do it the one before this. But to me, I was just we've heard this same statement so many times at this point. Joel killed Abby's dad. I was infected and he, like we've just already heard all of this already, that it's like, I was like, okay, let's move on. Like, I know you're having this moment and it's special between you two as characters. And I did like that. But I feel like for us, since we've heard it so many times as the viewers, like I was like, all right, well.
Sure. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me though, I would change it a little bit and not have this be the reveal. But I think it could have been a stronger ending for season 2 if instead of ending I'm getting ahead of myself, but it makes sense to talk about it here for me.
Yeah.
Instead of getting the beginning of day one Seattle for Abby, they do how they do it in the game, where what comes next after I let you live and you fucking wasted it is Abby at the hospital the day that everybody dies, and we get like a little bit of that in between there.
We should have gotten a little bit
I think
of
that would have been an interesting way to end it too, and find out everything about Abby then, which is that's how they do it in the game. But like, I think, because also, as we've all said, not that physicality is everything, but Caitlin Deaver is just smaller, and I think, at least I've said on the podcast, I hope that she bulks up a little bit just to help tell the story for season 3. Would have been like made sense to have this version of her with the shorter ponytail, getting that back. I think that could have been a really strong way to end the season, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Especially
like no, I like what you said though, like we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I do like how that could have set up season 2, and also like imitate how the game made us feel, like knowing like, oh shit, now I'm having to play as Abby. Just sort of getting the tease of like, oh shit, we're about to get the whole Seattle day 1, 2, and 3 from Abby's perspective now for season 2. I don't know. But that would have been really cool.
For sure. To go back to this actual scene that we're supposed to be talking about though, the couple things that didn't work for me, one is a really small thing, and it's like, I'm not actually upset about it, but I thought it was weird that Ellie doesn't talk about the spores. I thought like that's such a
she would share, probably
such a huge piece of new information for this world. You think that would be like the first thing, and like sure, maybe they talked about it not on camera, but that was like kind of world breaking for me, or like reality breaking of like, why isn't that like a huge deal? Because that's the first time that's ever happened. But the thing that more so, like, we've all really loved Bella's performance throughout the season to varying degrees on the show. But this scene for me was one of the first and only times this season where I just like didn't buy it. I just didn't quite buy Ellie's like trying to wrestle with how fucked up she feels from torturing Nora. I felt like this will probably sound harsh. It felt a little phoned in to me. It felt like, I don't know if it was the writing or what, but I just didn't believe that Ellie was having this like crisis of self. And like there were little things too of like Dina being like, take your shirt off, but her shirt looked like totally fine to me. And there was no, like in the game, she's kind of like covered in blood and stuff, and she wasn't here. Now, when she took her shirt off, you could see her back was all cut up and shit, but like you couldn't have seen that through the shirt. So there was like a few little like things throughout the scene that kept like taking me out a little bit from this.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I did like the information we got. This was one of the weaker scenes for me in this episode.
High Score Weekly has a good point. When she walked in, my wife thought Ellie had spores on her and would infect Dina. I don't know if that's how that works, but I mean, that is interesting. Yeah.
That is interesting.
Jerica, what do you think? Or you kind of shared, I guess, already.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think to Patrick's point, there was something a little bit like, not off-putting, but there's something just, I don't know if it's just rushing through it. And but maybe it was small little details that were sort of like breaking me from the moment. Like, it just didn't feel as believable as some of the other scenes. And maybe it just would have been more focused on dialogue versus trying to replicate a scene from the game.
Maybe said based in or agree with Patrick build.
And then Aaron eats food in the chat. My wife asked out loud, why is her back all cut up? Right. It's like there's this weird.
See that.
We didn't see that. And like, I don't know. It's one of those really simple things where like it's just like an editing thing of, if you just show us that her hands are bloody, as the viewer, we're going to accept so many things. But the fact that she looked like clean, it was like, oh, that's just weird. Like, what? Why do you think that she needs her shirt off to be tended to? Because she looks the best she's looked in a while.
Let's see. I was about to go in another rant about something. I'm going to hold it. I'm not going to do it. Sorry, I did that sigh because like, I don't want to talk about this now, but I'm not. We're going to move on to the next section.
Okay.
Y'all ready? Strap in. We're going. Jesse. Oh, this was, I want to read the title. Shimmer Lives. How bold of Kayla to name this segment Shimmer Lives.
Amazing.
God, just so excited for the horse. We didn't even see Shimmer. We just heard Shimmer. Anyway, Jesse and Ellie leave the theater to rendezvous with Tommy, leaving a hobbling Dina behind. Very similar to the game, saying, hey, I need you to lock up. I like that little callback.
She's such a baddie.
Just such a baddie. Even, hole in her leg, still able to wobble around. I would have still been on the couch like, I can't do anything. That would have been me. So,
hole in her leg and in her first trimester. Bestie is absolutely fire.
Wow.
Truly.
Jesse walks Ellie through how they found, I guess how they found them. Because I was like, there's a lot of things they left behind on their trail, including Shimmer. They recovered Shimmer at the record store. # justice for Shimmer. And that Kayla wrote that, not me. Jesse can tell things are different between Ellie and Dina, where he confirms with Ellie his thoughts that Dina might be pregnant. She refused to drink alcohol, and she's never done that in her life. He says he can't die here knowing that he has a child to raise, and gets really like leader of Jackson vibes. He's the most mature teenager. I don't know how old he is. He looks obviously older than Ellie and Dina to me, just a little bit. But he's definitely the one that's been picked out of the bunch to lead Jackson. He's such a boss. Not very nice, very to the point.
Yeah,
and then we'll get to it in a bit because I want to unpack that. Kayla also added, hey, they even toss ammo at each other. It's the sound that you hear picking up ammo in the game. So I didn't catch that.
I didn't
catch it. That's cool.
That's fun.
I've been noticing the audio, like I see this is the more shit that I wish they did, where they just put something in there. They don't have to like, well, you see, the sound was actually.
Where is listen mode, Kayla?
Sorry.
No, why can't we see through walls?
I know.
Give us a little bit of that.
Yeah, but it was the same sound that when like the sound when they pick up when they threw the ammo to each other, it made that noise.
Not enough picking up of screws or pills. Too.
I know. Or just opening an empty drawer most of the time for me.
Oh yeah, literally.
But I do have like a little bitty mini game to play with y'all right now. That's where it goes into a discussion I have about Jesse, our boy Jesse. So if you had to pick Game Jesse or the Jesse we're getting in the show, because like Game Jesse, super chill, loyal, ride or die. He's literally focused on backing Ellie pretty much no matter what. Now the show Jesse, definitely more serious. There's a frustrated version that's starting to come out. He's sort of like he's stuck managing Ellie's fallout. I don't know about y'all, but I can't wait to hear. It's sort of off-putting because I'm not used to that Jesse, like the show Jesse. I am very thankful for the expanding of his character though, because you don't really get a lot of that in the game. But it's, to me, I feel like it's a little bit more of a realistic reaction. As someone that is trying to save his friend and finding out that he has a child. I don't know about y'all. Like, how do y'all feel about this sort of new kind of Jesse that we're exploring in the show?
Yeah, it's a good bit different from the game. I kind of forgot about that. I went through it. I watched all the cinematics that would have been from the game today, and especially later at the theater, like right before he dies. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot this Jesse in the game is so much more, like laid back and just like happy to be here to be helping. And also something else I noticed in the game, Ellie saves Game Jesse, and like that is, instead of it being in the show where Jesse is just like keeps throwing that in Ellie's face, like they're in the game he makes a comment about needing to be saved again, or Ellie makes a comment like, I don't want to have to save your ass again or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle where I think overall I really love how much they add to Jesse's character in the show. I really love the extra conversations we get this episode and this like lore about this woman that he fell in love with from Alberta. But I almost wish there could have been a mixing of Game Jesse's demeanor of like a golden retriever here to help, supports Ellie no matter what, while also giving her advice and like pushing back a little bit, like when they split to she goes after Abby, he goes after Tommy. But ultimately, I think I probably prefer show Jesse because we just get so much more of him and we get so much more backstory. And young Mazzino is so good. Like, he's such a good actor. If you haven't watched Beef, you should go watch Beef. He's great in Beef.
Incredible.
But yeah,
His
so I don't know.
card never declines.
I'm kind of torn.
I think that I like what High School Weekly said in the chat, where he said Dina, Joel, and Tommy are all Ellie enablers, and I like how Jesse gives it to her straight, and it's kind of like that balance.
That's a good
I
point.
would agree with that, and I think it's necessary for the show. I think that both make a lot of sense for the subject matter that they were in. So I feel like game Jesse makes more sense for game Ellie, and I feel like show Jesse makes more sense for show Ellie. And I think that I don't like that they do sometimes use show Jesse as like a placeholder for making Ellie seem incompetent.
Agreed.
And I do think they kind of do that a little too much. But that's like not a critique on Jesse's character necessarily, just more of like the direction of the nature of Ellie. But I think that the depth that they add is worth it to kind of get the like little bit of a downside that I think exists. But I think I like the change. I like the depth. I think it makes his death more impactful. I love that getting ahead, but I love that they kept his death the same, very like senseless, very quick, very like bam bam.
Yeah.
But yeah, and never forget show Jesse has young Mazzino's arms in a tank top. Real.
I know. Just think if we could have gotten mullet Jesse from the game with young Mazzino's muscles from the show all in one. Oh god.
Hubba. Yeah. If they would have done that, I would have been fine with Shimmer being alive. That would have been the trade-off.
Sure. I thought this scene though, I think I liked the addition of more Ellie Jesse stuff, but I don't know, the whole pregnancy gotcha moment to me felt a bit weird. It felt a bit like, I don't know, it's easy for me, like in my position, to say that it feels like he got to that conclusion pretty conveniently about Dina being pregnant, but it's like, whatever. Some of that writing felt a little on the nose to me, but not a huge deal for me.
I still think you could have kept him not knowing the same and still like I don't know that added much for me that he knew. Besides, I mean, it makes his death sadder, I guess.
Sure.
Is it more sad that he knows or that he didn't know? I don't know. It's a good question.
Sure.
And I actually and I don't know if I just make sure I explain something, and I might be still wrong because my memory is shot, but I did watch a comparison video today and I was like, I didn't think that Jesse knew that Dina was pregnant before he died, and that's incorrect. I watched some scenes today. There's dialogue where they talk about it, and maybe it's one of those moments that you might get it or you don't get it. I don't know. But in the game, they actually have a conversation about he asked Ellie if she's pregnant. So,
but doesn't Ellie say no? She tries to pretend that it's not true. I feel like I remember that now.
Like they sort of talk about it, but he doesn't react the same way that he's obviously in the game.
Interesting.
I forget the actual. I have a video clip that I'll play a little bit later, but it has it in there. The IGN has the comparison, and I was like, I don't really remember that, but okay.
Yeah, I didn't watch back that specific scene, but I rewatched a lot of scenes and compared them. But and I showed my husband we'll get to it later, but the scene in the game where she kills Mel and Owen versus the show, and he's like, what the fuck with that? We should have kept that one in there. I was like, okay, whoa. But anyways, yeah. Interesting. I thought he didn't know.
Jesse and Ellie continue walking through. I'm just jumping in the next bit. Sorry. Mm-hmm. I don't really know how to transition well. I just start reading the next section. This one's called Scarred. There we go. Mm-hmm. They come across WLF soldiers beating a young Seraphite person, and then I thought this was because I don't remember this. I was trying to remember, was there something like this in the game? But I don't think there was. Like they come across maybe just someone fighting that was just off to the side, and they could have had a chance to like stop and see what was going on, but they kept moving. I can't really remember that. Maybe someone in chat can help me out here in a second if something like this happened in the game. But anyways, when they see this happen, Ellie's first instinct is to jump to help the child, but Jesse holds her back. We then notice the character from Isaac's intro is the one leading the group. So we've seen that character before. Jesse says it's not their fight. We cut to a scene afterwards, a scene with Isaac and
I think it's Park and not Parks.
Park. Yeah, it is Park.
Yeah, I had that wrong.
Discussed Abby and the crew's whereabouts. Like, where's Abby? We need them here. They're planning something big. And apparently Abby, Owen, and Mel are all missing, but they still have Manny around.
I made it a point to mention that for some reason.
They got so many Mannies.
So many Mannies. Parks is wondering why everyone's obsessed with Abby and even asks Isaac if he's in love with her. Isaac clarifies that Abby was supposed to become the leader of the WLF and that he and Parks would likely die soon. So someone needed to lead the front. Sort of two-part scene here, but I don't know. How did y'all feel with the change of pretty much giving us a moment where Ellie's like wanting to stop and do the right thing on her way to do the wrong thing, basically? I don't know. I didn't like the scene for that reason. It sort of makes sense. I do not just see... the show doesn't need to prove to me anymore that Ellie feels guilty, but she also needs to do this, but immediate guilt after these choices, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little dissonant to me where I don't know, I feel like the show, the after discussion of the podcast wanted it to be about Ellie trying to balance out what she'd done with Nora maybe and try to do the right thing. But I don't know. For me, I more felt like it would make sense for her to try to kill the WLF because they're related to Abby instead of wanting to save a Seraphite. Because there's just not really been any sort of interaction with them. I mean, I don't know. I guess because she's not really interacting with the Seraphites much other than Dina getting shot in the leg, but that happened so fast that maybe she didn't realize it was them. I don't know. But that was more my thinking there. It just felt a bit odd to include it. And it was just okay, let's just, I guess, move on to the next thing.
Go ahead, Kayla.
Go ahead, Jer. Oh, I was just going to say that I don't think it was really, for me, it still didn't land, but I don't think that's really what it was about. I think it was kind of showing the difference between how Ellie and Jesse react to situations too. I think they were kind of showing us that Jesse, I don't think they really needed to show us this again or harp on it, but I think Jesse being very pragmatic and this is not our fight. And I think they were also telling us that to reiterate that there's this war between the WLF and the Seraphites.
Sure.
They make sure that we know that many times.
Yeah.
And I also don't think that she thinks that she's doing the wrong thing. I don't think that I think she knows, obviously at this point, I think she has the capacity to understand that she's being quite extreme, but I don't think she really thinks she's doing the wrong thing. So
let me clarify there too, because obviously she don't, but as a viewer, I just feel like I'm being slapped in the face with seeing Ellie do these things back to back. Does that make sense? Ellie, and I just cool. I know this Ellie isn't my game. Ellie, did I say Abby? Make sure I didn't say Abby.
No,
I feel like
Ellie,
is not the game Ellie I know, and it's more hit. I should have definitely played a lot more. Played the game currently, so I forget how much just focused, honed in on this mission that Ellie is, to the point where I feel like they do that a lot in the show where they're trying to, and it might work out. It's just I can't wrap my head around being sort of forced to see the side of Ellie that wants to stop and help somebody else.
I see what you mean.
So my question would be do y'all see could y'all see this moment happening in the game?
No. Mm-mm.
Absolutely not, because in the game, especially up to this point, she had killed hundreds of both of these factions by this point. So
yeah, true.
Yeah, there would be no reason. She had also been shot in the arm or the chest by an arrow by one of the Seraphites. So there would be no reason. Ultimately, I think the real purpose for this scene is to give ammunition for when her and Jesse are fighting in
Yeah.
2 scenes. This is just a means to an end, this scene.
Yeah. And then a lot of people agreeing in the chat. Squinky Jornku said, we continue to soften the edges of Ellie's revenge tour, which is understandable, which understand from a viewer palpability, even if I don't love it. But Breaks too has a good point that it was weird because she did witness the scars cutting that dude open in the woods.
Oh yeah.
Forgot about that.
That's a great point.
But she may not have even necessarily put together, like, I think she saw, because it's not a child, it's like a teenager kind of, I think she sees like an innocent from her point of view, and she immediately needs to like jump in, because we do know that, like, especially from later with the pregnancy, like, killing thing, that she does want to protect like innocent people as much as she can. At least show Ellie does. And game Ellie, I don't think she cares at all, to be honest, because she in the game she's like very honed in, like,
well, because she's so much better like at killing in the game. Yeah, because she's us, and we're we're really the best.
Right.
Unless we're playing on Grounded, then I really suck.
Right, well,
I'd love to one day do that.
The other scene, though, if we do we want to move to that one, the Isaac Park scene? I liked this for its purpose of that there's like this is one of the few scenes that happen throughout this episode that start to sprinkle things that we will get answers on next season, which I liked a lot. I do kind of not believe Isaac when he's like, Abby is supposed to be the next one to lead us. It's going back, like we've said this so many times on ClickerBait season 2, you're telling us, you're not showing us. And like they're going to show us next season, ideally. But it was one of those things where that part of the scene read very strange to me, because we just don't have the evidence to support that. But I did like that. She's like, when the line especially of, you're most likely going to die tonight, I'm more likely to die tonight, and then start to, as a like people like my mom that are watching the show that don't know the game are probably like, oh, what's I'm confused on? Like, what is this? Which is a fun, like, it's that thing that we've talked about a little bit on the show of like, I wish that they drew more things out to have the viewer, not the player, figure these things out for themselves. And I'm glad that they're not just also putting that on a silver platter like they've been putting so many other things, that like they're leaving a little bit to be figured out. So I liked it.
Yeah, I didn't really like this scene. This is one of the ones that didn't work for me, because my non-game playing husband was like, why would I believe that Abby is going to be the leader of this group?
Right.
Like, and I get like what you're saying too. They probably will show us. Briggs too said Abby's the chosen one because she's a playable character. But yeah, I didn't love this. To me, I think it makes sense because they are setting up the external kind of like war that's happening and what we see later. But I also thought the line about like, oh, are you in love with her, was like kind of weird.
Bad. That was terrible.
It's unnecessary. And also the even though they have a cool ass name, there's just sheep. I was like, ew, like what is this dialogue?
Yeah, that was bad.
Like, that threw me off. Like, I think that like he even felt like, it seemed like he even felt like weird saying this dialogue. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that it made sense, but like this is one of the scenes that didn't work for me personally, but I guess I understand like why they wanted to add it in. But
yeah.
I'm ready to get into probably one of my favorite scenes from this episode is the library time that when Jesse and Ellie seek shelter in a bookstore.
Yeah.
They have another serious convo. They notice that Tommy is not at the rendezvous point. Jesse states that he doesn't love Dina like Ellie loves Dina, because you can tell there's some like tension between them, obviously. He shares a story about a group that was passing through Jackson one time from New Mexico. And for about 2 weeks, I think he ended up like meeting this girl. He bought some paintings from her and he fell in love with this girl. Stated that she couldn't unfortunately stay and he couldn't leave. So neither one of them could commit. He couldn't leave to be with her for the good of Jackson, though. He overheard on the radio right after sharing this story with Ellie that the WLF was calling for backup and there's a sniper. I guess it's Tommy. And so they immediately head over to wherever they were calling out the sniper's location to help Tommy. And then Ellie catches sight of the aquarium, just like this part was in the game. pretty much where they're putting together and she puts together the whale clue and immediately locks in.
Yeah.
Jesse calls. At this point, they have one last sort of push and pull, and Jesse's calling Ellie selfish for pursuing justice the way that she is, and admits that he voted no to the trip to Seattle for the good of the community, sort of harping back on the story he just talked about, and that, he's going to protect Jackson no matter what, even if it costs him the love of his life, he's going to do this. And Ellie unleashes on him, saying that her community, Joel, was beaten to death in front of her and that she was forced to watch. Jesse says from the game directly, hope she makes it, and they separate. So Jesse's going after Tommy. Ellie is on her way to the aquarium to find Abby. So, and I sort of asked this earlier. We know we didn't get nearly this much depth with Jesse in the game. But I don't know, do you feel like this moment gave him new weight, or would you have rather it still honed in on, Ellie trying to figure out what her next move was? I don't know, differences between the game and what happened here is pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah. One slight correction. I did put, I don't know where the fuck New Mexico came from, because it was our Alberta.
Okay.
The girl was from. That was my bad.
Dina. I think Dina was from New Mexico.
Dina was New Mexico.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought it may have been another family.
That was my bad. Sir Dr. JM in the chat did correct us, because I believe they are from Canada.
Hilarious.
So thank you for that.
Dope.
I agree with you, Jerica. I loved the majority of this. I thought the bookstore scene was good. I liked this addition of Jesse, which, like you said, we've kind of talked about. But I'll talk more about the second half of it. Mm-hmm. This made me realize we don't get nearly enough walking through buildings that have half toppled over in the show, like we do in the game. Mm-hmm. We're with uneven floors and shit. We need more of that in season 3, please.
Yes.
But yeah, the scene with Ellie and Jesse where she's about my community was beaten to death in front of me. I thought that was so good. Bella was so good in that moment and super believable. I was so fucking locked in. And ultimately, kind of going back to our last discussion, I feel like those little, even though I didn't love all the little bits we got, I thought it really made this part make sense, and it made them splitting make even a little bit more sense than in the game, where because in the game, Jesse seems so behind Ellie the whole way, whereas here he's basically been Ellie, you're a fuck up, so I'm gonna stick on the mission. So I like that. But I will say the one thing about this scene that didn't, I don't for some reason I don't believe that Jesse voted no based on everything that they've told
that's
me.
Right.
That felt weird to me. I mean I know they're not lying, but for me it was I don't know, that felt disingenuous to me.
Yeah. I agree. I think that, obviously it was meant to hurt Ellie, but I think that I wish that we would have, something that my husband actually mentioned too, that I fully agree with, is that this speech with fuck the community, where she has that, and I think it's so good. Bella Ramsey did an amazing job, and I love the scene. I kind of wish it would have been placed at the council meeting when they had I think that it would have, seeing that rage earlier on. Now, and it doesn't, I think again, like we've mentioned, this kind of makes sense for the show. They've kind of had this descent into rage, and not it just starting out at this rage, but I feel like it would have made sense. I think this does show her true colors about how she felt at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this overall was really good. It didn't throw me off too much that Jesse admitted that he said no. I think it just kind of adds on to the pain that Ellie's experiencing in this moment. And you're finally seeing her express her true feelings about the situation, because I do feel like she's withheld a lot. Yeah.
And man, how much more does this hurt with them having this kind of conversation after what happens at the end of this episode? It's almost that's another.
I think so. Swanky was in the chat earlier before it all crashed, saying that this scene was immersion breaking for him. I think one thing that I didn't say that I do want to add, I thought some of the fuck the community bit I thought was really good, but there were a couple lines that also took me out a bit where she was like, you think you're a good person, I'm a bad person. Like that I thought was a bit on the nose in terms of writing. But more so for me, something that I forgot to mention, I don't understand why we didn't just have her beat the shit out of Nora and get the aquarium from her instead of getting whale wheel. That felt really silly to me, where she's like, oh, Ferris wheel, whale, this must be where Abby is. It was like, what? That's a weird, I don't understand.
I wonder, I don't know. I don't see what the
that was very silly to me.
Reasoning for that.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, whatever I was talking about, I don't think it was that important. So we'll just keep going. Any other thoughts before we move to the next scene?
Not for me.
All right. We see the iconic boat. Ellie takes off into a huge storm and goes, she's on her way to the aquarium. She is then taken out by this huge wave and washes up to shore on Scar Island. I don't know if that's what they actually call it, but I hope they do. It's a Scar Island. I did forget for like a split second that they are on an island because I could care less about that whole part in the game. Could care less. Ellie is then, I did enjoy this one scene, but not for anything. Not that it helps the plot. I did enjoy the small child that sees her on the beach, the small Scar child. Mm-hmm. And she's immediately captured. And it's like the kid was like pointing her out to the group, so they capture her, they bring her into the woods and they're stringing her up. Sort of reminds me of a scene that Abby gets thrown into. And I'm like, why does this happen to Ellie? This wasn't in the game. And basically, like, Ellie's trying to barter, like, beg, like, anything. Don't do this. I'm not a wolf. Please don't kill me. And then the kid's like looks up, like they're looking at the kid. Should we kill her? And he's just like, off with her head. The kid gives no fucks. He wants to kill Ellie so fast. And I was like, that kid, damn. Even the children are fine with killing. And so I guess that was a callback to the previous scene, just the cycle of violence and everyone's doing all the wrong things for the right reasons in their mind. So this scene, a little strange to me. I don't know if I needed it. And ultimately she the bombing of Scar Island, the WLF, I don't know how much, if people put that together or not. They are attacking them, and that distracts the Scars from killing Ellie. So Ellie gets away, gets back on the boat, and is on her way to the aquarium. So there you have it, folks.
This is one of my least favorite scenes of both seasons.
Yep, it's the scene I hate the most from both seasons. I did not like this.
I thought this was fucking dumb. And so in the post credits, they talk about how it's like, oh, there was this bit where like we had this interaction with Ellie washing up on Scar Island, and we wanted to, Hallie Gross's words, we wanted to flirt with that in season 2. So they literally spent like 45 seconds.
They put it in there.
Yeah.
All of this
but
scene.
It's like, Squanky, I completely agree. It felt like an editor made a mistake. It was like so fast, so quick to finish. All of a sudden, like she's just back in the boat and like right at where we left off. It was like, are we sure this wasn't supposed to be cut? The only thing I liked about it was when she gets back in the boat, we see like the siege of Scar Island starting in the background. I thought that was cool. But yeah, I thought this was such yeah, right, exactly. This was such a waste of time for me. And this is the perfect example of like my overall biggest criticism with this whole season is the pacing of like what feels like should have been a huge story beat of Ellie being captured by an enemy faction and almost hanged and almost disembowels, and it's over in like literally 50 seconds. It's just like such, it's so
it didn't even bother her either. Like, it was just
like less than 50 seconds, literally.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was so silly. But yeah, so it's like that. I really didn't need this. And also I feel like we have to get the scene of Abby next season being strung up by the Seraphites because that's how Yara and Lev meet Abby.
And it can't be the only reason they put that in there either.
Right.
Like, are
And,
they
like,
wanting the mirror the scene between the two? Like, I don't know.
But it's like this will be the third time that we've seen them do this. It's just
wanna
weird to me.
They just want sure people know, like, this is the signature move of the Seraphites.
Yeah.
Besides the whistling,
I guess
they're really good at stringing people up.
It's very weird. It feels like it almost feels like the writers don't, what am I trying to say? It's like the writers are undercutting anything interesting about the Seraphites. And it's just like, oh, they just want to string everybody up and kill them. It's like, no, there's like interesting nuance with this faction and like cool stories. And you're just, I don't know. It's weird.
It's like they could have spent, I know they're trying to like set it up for like a big thing next season, but I feel like instead of doing this like random unnecessary lore, you could have like given tidbits of like actual interesting things instead of like multiple strung up scenes. And like, I don't know. This was a waste of my time. Like it was so weird. And also like, it's a very interesting choice because if you watch, and this is cool if you watch the after credit scenes where how they did some of this stuff is really interesting because they made this like fake like ocean scene and like there was like Bella Ramsey was like in the water the whole time.
All this effort.
Yeah, all that effort, which I mean, some of that was for the actual like scenes like on the way there, but they actually did film her like washed up on an island. Like that was a real like scene that they shot. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I was like, I was like, we don't have much time left. Yeah. Why are we here? Like, what's going on? Yeah. All of us, I feel like feel the same about that.
Yeah. When we ultimately inevitably get the third re-release of season 2 as a director's cut remaster, I hope that this scene is cut out and I hope that all the memories are put in their right spot.
That would be cool to see it like that for sure.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I did want to highlight Sir DJ JM. I just want you to know, I do always say your name in my head, Sir DJ Jim. I don't know if that is what I'm supposed to be doing with those letters, but anyways, you had a comment in Discord that I wanted to highlight. This side quest after the big wave is something that no one's going to remember in 24 months until when season 3 comes out. And correct. I agree, Sir Doctor. I was saying DJ. Damn it. So the J. That's just
Doctor. Doctor.
I might be a little dyslexic. So, anyways, I like Sir DJ Jim. That's what's in my head now. That's what I'm gonna say. Unless you hate it, then I won't. Anyways, 2 birds with 1 stone. That's the next chapter here in this lovely novel that Kayla's written. I can't wait. Oh, this is that part. Yes. Okay. This is the tough part. Ellie arrives at the aquarium, makes her way through season area. We're just, pretty similar to the game. If you played the game, you know this part. Goes through the ceiling, gets there, sees like some bandages, bone saw. Something's happened here. We wonder what it is. But Ellie then stumbles upon Owen and Mel. And it looks like they're talking about, they've mentioned Abby, her choice to go to an island. Basically, they're arguing about like what to do next. And then Ellie pulls a gun on them and you see Mel and Owen being like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? And then they immediately recognize Ellie. Ellie demands that they both point to on the map where Abby is. And they need to both do it and it better match. So Owen states that Ellie will kill them both either way, but Ellie says no, she won't. After that, he quickly pulls a gun on Ellie, trying to, kill her before he dies. And when that happens, Ellie shoots him, and the bullet ricochets off the metal cabinet and also cuts Mel's throat. Mel reveals that she's pregnant, and while she's bleeding out, desperately instructs Ellie to perform a C-section. Ellie just keeps panicking, saying that she doesn't know how to do that. Tommy and Jesse show up and get her out of that situation, take her back to the theater. So, what did it better, the game or the show? What do you think about this scene? Pretty big scene in the game and in the show. Pretty big.
Kayla, what do you think?
It's tough because, wow, how brutal is this scene in the show? I was shocked. And you know what's crazy is I actually had just literally at my parents' house this weekend watched The Walking Dead, the scene with Lori in The Walking Dead that is exactly this scene, except they actually do the C-section. And yeah, I mean, obviously very impactful, very big. I think that it shows the brutality of the world and of what's going on in a little bit of a different way. In the game, I do like how in the game, Ellie intentionally kills Mel on purpose and then realizes that she's pregnant and is then faced with her choices that she's made and how, much more aggressive in the game, obviously, as we've discussed. But I think this difference it makes sense for the show Ellie because it wasn't intentional. She's faced with the consequences of her actions in true form. And once again, she's told, here, and I love that Mel is a doctor. Mel is trying to protect her unborn child, instructing Ellie in her last moments on what to do. And Ellie's just like frozen. And in the game, you kind of have that same playback of like, but you hear the ringing in her ear. She starts to have a panic attack. She's realizing like, oh my God, I've really fucked up. Like, this is like, I really have fucked up. So I really liked it.
I have fucked up now.
Yeah, I like the choices that they've made. I think it makes sense for the show Ellie. I think that the scene is so good in the game too, though. But yeah, I like the change for it makes sense for the show.
Yeah, I think for me, I ultimately like more of what happens in the game. I would have liked, similar to what I was saying earlier, of like kind of mixing and matching. I would have liked keeping everything the way it happens in the show, except have Ellie kill her on purpose. But still, everything else that happens after she shoots her, because I thought, the actor, I don't remember the actress's name that plays Mel, Mariella, maybe. That like her
Ariella, I think.
Ariella, yeah, that's right. Her instructing Ellie what to do, and like because she's in shock and she's literally dying, she in her mind, Ellie is doing the things that she wants her to do, and is like saying that she's doing a good job. Yeah, exactly. Like unbelievable. Like I thought it was so good. I personally think it would have been stronger to have Ellie kill them both on purpose and still do the rest of that. But yeah, overall, I mean, I think it's a splitting hairs situation because I still think it's a very good scene in the show.
I think it just makes, that's what I said. Like, I think it just makes more sense because like in the show, Ellie's not as aggressive as she is in the game.
Yeah.
Like in the game, she's very honed in, like laser focus.
Yeah. I would have liked them adding one little bit more from the game though. You were saying that she has that, like her ears are ringing. She's having a panic attack in the game. She almost like has a gut reaction to like almost attack Tommy when Tommy gets in. And that would have been, I think, a nice addition as well, instead of her just being like frozen and stuck and Tommy coming in and like hugging her or whatever. I thought that would have been a fun, like even one step further of like, wow, she really fucked up. And then she almost killed Tommy too. Like, I would have liked that.
And I think they did, like, when, obviously in the show when Joel's died, I think they did that effect when that was happening. But yeah, I agree, Patrick. I think that would have been a nice ad for just her trying to go, like, it's almost like her thoughts are catching up with her actions. And it's just like, you are just, instead of just being frozen, like you are just dissociating for a minute. And then the point, like, just not knowing what's coming up on, like, behind her next, that would have been a good ad.
My jaw was on the floor this whole scene.
This scene was pretty good. I'm also on the boat of, or on the side of like, I do like the game, how it goes, how it happens in the game. But Kayla, to your point, Ellie's not like this, not as directive here in the show, not as just honed in on. She doesn't have empathy, as nearly as much empathy in the game, and just trying to keep that sort of separate. And there's obviously reasons for it. It's given her some layers that I never seen Ellie have. It's a hard one to grasp. It's like, I just like the game version more, but I can see how this works for TV.
I also, one thing that, this is a minor thing too, like not something that impacts my overall thing much, but in the game on day one, we have that moment of Ellie and Dina finding, because Tommy goes first in the game, finding that like what's left of Tommy doing the Joel torture trick to get information. Where we see that in like they come across that in like a hotel or something where they Tommy has the guy write like in blood or put in blood on them or whatever it is, and Ellie tells that to Dina and is like, oh yeah, this is like a way to get information, because she tries to do that here, but I would have liked that little connective tissue this season to add to that, to like, you know, Ellie tries to do the thing, miserably fails at the thing, but that's a minor thing.
I mean, even the slight change of in the show, Owen is attacking Ellie and Ellie's reacting.
Yeah.
Whereas in the game, that's not what happens.
Yeah.
Like that, it's not what happens. And so I like, it's just showing that Ellie is much more reactionary in the show than like
for sure
taking the initiative in the game.
Yeah, just not sure of herself. I think you just nailed it. Like just not as confident, and not even confident, just unsure. Ellie in the game is so sure of what she's doing next, and then TV show Ellie just not all the way there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But man, Ellie was sobbing over the belly of dead Mel was so good.
Yeah, it was really well done. This is one of those things that I appreciate. I do like it, and I mean, like is a bad way to phrase this. Let's just be clear.
You love dead pregnant women. You just said
it's okay. So does High Score Weekly. So.
That's true. God, doesn't he?
It's so funny when we said that in the Discord. He was like, "When did I mention it?"
All the time.
This is really funny.
I'm gonna lead in on the joke now too.
Would not answer him on that.
Yeah. But yeah, I this was one of those things that I was shocked by. I was like, "Whoa!" Like, and I was worried. Like somebody else mentioned it earlier. I forget who. I'm worried they were going to shy away from this completely. Because in the game, we already know that Mel is pregnant, don't we? Like they mentioned in the very beginning. Oh, in the show they did?
Yeah, they talked about it. Owen and Mel, don't they talk about it in the show too? See, now I'm starting to blend it, but I think they do.
I don't think they do.
Hold on. Y'all can keep talking. Let me double check because I just want to know for sure.
They might have, because we're 3 months after Joel
Owen
is dead.
Told Abby, right?
That's in the game for sure. That's in the game. It's like in the opening scene, but I don't think it happens in the show.
Yeah, because we've not seen Mel since Joel died. So yeah, no, I don't think we talked about this in the show.
Because we don't even know that Owen and Mel are together, and we don't really even know that Owen and Abby were a thing in the show. Not really. Like they show us a couple of things.
Yeah, we have no idea
really waiting.
That Owen rails Abby from behind on the boat.
I cannot wait. That's the scene that if they cut that. And if Shimmer's still alive, I'm done. I'll never watch another season of this.
The streets with pitchforks.
Okay, High Score Weekly said the crew is very vague in the show. And Aaron said boat scene. Eyeball emoji. So funny.
Eyeball.
Yeah.
What's next?
Let's see.
The AI... I'm sorry, the AI overview does say, yes, in the video game, which is an AI, so who knows, says the TV show... Owen does tell Abby that Mel's pregnant. Can we get proof? Where's this art linking to?
Yeah, but that later in the game and the show.
What?
Like I don't think
early. I'm sorry.
I think it was early in the show.
That's what I'm
saying.
In
the game.
Or in the TV show, Owen tells Abby that Mel's pregnant in the show early on, right? That's what I remember. I just want to validate my memory if it's shitty, or did I remember this right?
I don't remember that happening.
I don't remember that.
However, I am not the voice of women. I am not the voice of Jerica.
Someone double check me, because I can't multitask, run a show, and Google this, and I really want to know if I'm just
Swanky also doesn't remember it, and is the voice of women.
God damn it! If Schwanky is saying he don't remember it, it's probably true. I believe him.
Because I do remember them like thinking in the early parts of the season, like, yes, we do see the group. We learn about Abby's dad, but we don't know about like the dynamics within the group, which I'm assuming is what we'll get next season. Also, one thing we forgot to say.
Oh,
Freaking Owen and Ellie slowly. When they say slowly, did you guys catch that? And I was annoyed. He literally says, because Ellie goes, says, point to the map slowly.
It didn't click
And
with
Ellen was
me
like,
that
slowly. And I was like, oh my God, they're really trying to, like,
I didn't click that.
see, that bothered me. But overall, enjoyed.
and then we go to you wasted it. Unless we have any more
Yeah.
thoughts here before I move to the next section.
Let's move.
No,
Let's
that was
move.
it for me.
Chugga chugga.
Then Tommy, Jesse, and Ellie convene back at the theater. You can tell that you can see how affected Ellie truly is by the events. Tommy tries to comfort her, justify her choices, saying that they were a part of it too. Ellie's feeling bad about, obviously killing Mel or being a part of that interaction, killing Mel and Owen. Ellie admits that it is time to go home and that she is at peace with the fact that Ellie gets to live. They hear a commotion outside. Tommy had already walked out, and Jesse and Ellie just bust through the door, which I always thought was sort of dumb. Me and Audrey talked about that again today. Seems like they'd have more practice to maybe creak open that door to peek and see what's going on.
Don't worry about Dina.
Yeah, you
Probably
still want to
panicking.
be like, just don't, you hear a gunshot, you're not going to bust through the door. Anyways,
True.
Jesse's still, just like the game, immediately shot. Just as shocking. I still went when it happened.
Yeah.
Abby is holding Tommy at gunpoint. Ellie tries to reason with her, immediately tosses her gun, saying that it wasn't Tommy that killed her friends, it was her. We get the iconic line from Abby, I get to let you live and you wasted it. Gunshot, fade to black.
Wow.
Just like the game.
Wow.
I would have bet so much money that this is how the season would have ended. I was so shocked that we got more, but we'll talk about
Me
that
too.
next. We're talking about
Me
this
too.
scene now. I just yet again, I just don't believe Abby. I just this didn't read to me. For a second I was like, oh, okay. Maybe she's gonna bring the fire and I'm gonna be scared of her, but I just don't. I don't know. I didn't buy it. And there was something also, I think, Gabriel Luna has been so good as Tommy, but him on the ground pretending to be hurt was like, he's totally fine. This does not read as good to me.
I didn't even pay attention to him on the floor.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. This one, this just didn't hit as hard for me. But what did hit for me was that last scene with Ellie and Jesse, right before Jesse gets killed, when he says, I forget the exact line, but he says, or she's like, thanks for coming to help. And he ultimately says, I realized that if I was out there, that you would have burned the city down to find you, or whatever, burn the world down to find you.
That was good.
And,
That was
and
good
she's
line.
like, and she agrees. And it's like, I thought that was really good. And it was one of those things like, oh, I know what is about to happen to Jesse, and I just, how can I stop it? I wish I could stop it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was surprised. I was a little let down by the actual collision of Abby and Ellie. What about y'all?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I actually really liked Caitlin Dever's performance here. I started to believe. I started to become a believer. I don't know what it was. I think the way that her expression and the way that she was presenting herself was believable for me. And you can tell that she's disheveled, that she's seen some shit. You see the bruise mark around her neck from the Seraphites.
Yeah, it was a good catch. Good catch.
I didn't catch that.
I liked her performance here. And also I've actually been seeing good responses online, which I'm shocked by. A lot of people saying that they want to see more of her, which, you will. Congrats. Yeah. But I actually, backing up a little bit to the beginning of the scene, I do like that we see Enabler Tommy, where he's I think part of it is him trying to comfort her for sure, but him kind of justifying her actions, I did like. I was shooketh by Jesse's death once again, like Jerica said, even though I knew what was coming. I was like, oh. And the shot where they show the bullet hole in his head is the exact same.
The exact spot.
Same angle. Yeah. Same everything. So I did really like that. Rabbit128 said my wife squealed when Jesse died. Yeah, no, I think it definitely is. I mean, she hits him dead in the middle of the forehead.
I mean, it's like right, it's like the cheek.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like right here. But yeah, I thought that her performance was really good. I think they do a good job of showing that, like, obviously she has been through some shit to get to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this was really well done.
One of my favorite. It was my second favorite scene of the episode. I love that it was done just like the game, and I'm on the side of, like, this made me feel like I don't know if it's the vibe or the presence, but, like, this was a very believable Abby for me in this moment. Like, and I don't know if it's the black jacket, the way she's holding the gun. I have an image right here. If you're watching, you could see it. But to Kayla's point, like, she does look like she's seen some shit, and I believe what she says. It does suck we don't have some of that backstory yet, and I think Abby's just the physicalness and how big and powerful she is, like, helps lean into this moment way more in the game. So I can't wait to see her go through this shit before she gets back to the theater for next season. Sucks that viewers don't have that yet. I also love the conversation between Jesse and Ellie, and I'm really interested to see how that just once again just the multiple layers of guilt that Ellie will have knowing that she's the reason Jesse died. Like, I would take that blame. That is going to be multiple times, and she had so many warnings, so many chances to, like, get him out of that situation. I mean, all of them, right? So
yeah,
they set that up. They set that up well.
A bit of a change, at least that I'm wondering if y'all caught this. So in the game, Abby says, "You killed my friends." And then in the show, she first says that Tommy killed her friends. And then Ellie has to be like, "No, it was me." So I'm wondering if that's going to change anything next season with Abby.
Technically, he did kill her friend.
He did.
Like, sniper. So I wonder, that's where that change came from.
I'm wondering if, because in the game at this point, I mean, Abby knows that everyone's dead, and there's more friends in the game, but
she's got more
now
friends.
because it's just Manny, Nora, Owen, Mel. I'm wondering if Abby has just no idea that Ellie is here and thinks all of it has been Tommy, if that's going to be like a through line of the next season, or if it's just one of those little lines that I'm putting more weight on that they technically changed it.
I did notice the change, but I hope it doesn't affect, because I do think knowing that she's trying to track down Ellie is, like, pivotal, I feel like, to the experience. So hopefully it's not like a big shift. I don't know. What were you saying, Jerica?
I'm just, I don't know. I don't know if once again, it's one of those changes that I don't know if the payoff's going to be, it's got to be for a reason though. Cause I feel like, I don't know. I'm thinking on it. Anyways, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait to find out.
I will say, based on some of the things in the after credits, and this is kind of digging a little bit into the next episode of ClickerBait, where we're going to do a full season 2 recap and predict, almost like look to the future. But in the podcast, they do say they've made a lot of changes to benefit season 3. So I think that we are going to get some big things in season 3 that we didn't see before, because it seems like they specifically, and I don't remember exactly what they're referring to or at what point in their recap they're discussing this, but they do say that they have intentionally set some things up to be different because of the outcome that they want to have in season 3.
Interesting.
So,
I'm very interested in that. Also, at first, I was so confused at first. I was like, I don't remember there being a gunshot to end it, but that's in the game too.
Yep.
But I don't. Is it Dina? Does she come in with a gun? I forget what that gunshot is.
I think she did shoot, but didn't Lev? Isn't that when Lev, like, or no? It might have been Dina, and then I can't remember. I can't remember.
I guess I'll have to go play to find out.
I guess
we will.
They got us again. Buy the game again.
Squinky has a really good point in the chat that says Abby in the show definitely says "you" in a way she's not expecting.
Oh yeah,
Ellie.
good call. Yeah,
that is a good call. And so maybe Yeah,
It's gotta be just from someone's, or she obviously has witnessed her or Tommy trying to shoot or killing Manny, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
and just, I guess from that situation, finding Owen and Mel, I guess they're going to put it together where someone has seen Tommy. They have seen more Tommy than they have anyone else.
Right. But in the game, she's actively pursuing Ellie, right? Like in the game.
I don't know that she knows it's actually Ellie. I think she maybe has maybe she has like an inkling perhaps. And she because I think once she starts realizing that it's specifically her crew that went to Jackson is all the ones being killed. I think she starts to assume it's someone Jackson related, but I don't think she knows that it's Ellie until she gets to the theater in the game too.
I do agree with Breaks too that the gunshot and fake out with the black screen was a little cheesy.
It was cheesy, very cheesy. Yeah, I agree.
To average viewers, it probably won't be though.
Probably,
not calling the rest of not. I'm just saying this is a great video game story. So,
another thing that I missed a little bit here in the game in that scene that they change a bit with Ellie and Jesse in the game before Tommy leaves. There's just a lot of fun dialogue about like Tommy finding a necklace to help bribe Maria into being okay with him leaving. And there's just like a fun banter about like Jesse's like, can it be from all of us? And then he says, you get your own damn bribe or whatever. There's just like a levity there that I thought was missing in the show. But I understand that like, I agree. Maybe levity wouldn't have really helped to it would have taken away from the more serious tone of the Ellie Jesse conversation, because in the game the conversation that they have is also just it's a little lighter. It's not as like a heavy conversation that they're having in the show. So but just a thought.
Squinky did say in the game, Tommy jumps up and redirects the shot. Lev shoots Tommy in the leg with an arrow, which does answer our earlier question too about doesn't Tommy get shot? Because technically, yes, he does get shot.
I really remember Tommy getting a shot in the head, but
how dope it's going to be though. Like, God, if you obviously haven't played the game, it sucks because that's still the best way to enjoy this story. But imagine not playing the game and then getting that reveal that there was someone else in the fucking room. And it's Lev.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a nice reveal. I can't wait to.
Well, yeah, because in the game you don't see Lev until later too.
Yeah.
It's very cool. It's one of my little like fun little things I love about that.
I sort of forgot about that. Yeah, that makes sense. If I was playing the game and did the same thing, but man, I guess it's sort of fun knowing you do know that, and you're like, I can't. There's someone else there, and it's just cool. Yeah. The next scene, we get a little bit more. We didn't think we were going to get more. This. But we do, and I'm so glad we got this part because I don't know, there was something hype about it. Just them saying day one when they reveal that they're rewinding time. They're starting day one with Abby, and let me click one button because I can't talk and multitask. Give me 1 second. Transition. I want to have this image up while we're talking about it. But we see Abby waking up in Seattle. She approaches an overlook and we see the huge camp of Seattle, and we get the words Seattle day one on the screen. So yeah, I've noticed they did skip like a couple of flashbacks, but Patrick, I think you mentioned this, like they could have added like her, that's going to be for next season, but could they have added little extra scenes of her seeing her father murdered after Joel went on his rampage to save Ellie? And even and I'm sure they start with this. I'm prediction they start the flashback of her and her dad like helping the zebra.
Yeah, I think that's a strong.
I thought
prediction.
That was going to be here. Actually, I thought we were getting a flashback.
I think if they could have cut the Seraphite scene with Ellie and maybe gave us a little extra. Come on, y'all.
Would have been nice.
But they have to save all those juicy flashbacks for next season. But I am glad they gave us at least this, because now you're left with that taste in your mouth. And I'm curious, for anyone that has loved ones that maybe didn't play the game, what did they think about this shift for day one for Abby? If anyone in the chat has some comments, love to hear your loved ones' thoughts if they watch the show with you.
I know I kind of already said it, but I still like earlier in the show, Craig and Neil were talking about we really needed the TV audience to understand Abby's intention and stuff. But I really feel like if we had waited until this moment to find out about her dad, I think it would have been so good.
So
but
good.
yeah, I don't
agree.
know. At first, I felt really weird about getting 10 seconds of Seattle Day One from Abby to end the show, because it's one of those like almost like a TV faux pas of like, well, we completed the arc of the season with Ellie and Abby colliding. Why start a new arc and then immediately end it? But on a second watch, I was like, I actually really like that that's where they chose to end the season, of like to give us an idea of what to expect next season, and especially for viewers that didn't play the game, to watch the after bits where Craig and them are like, next season we're going to go through that time with Abby so that, they know what to expect now. But I did like it. I thought it was a surprising and strong choice. But yeah, I'm looking in the chat now. It sounds like there was some confusion from not knowers.
Yeah. High School Weekly said, first of all, welcome Ike R. Said season 3 will go to new heights. That's so funny. High School Weekly said, my wife thought the events of Seattle was Abby's dream because she woke up and it said day 1.
LOL.
Aaron Eats Food said, my wife was surprised with how big the WLF are and personally isn't looking forward to having an Abby season. Says she's still got a bit of anger for her.
Yeah.
And then Game Over Trilla said, my girlfriend was disoriented, had to explain that we were looking at the same things from the other perspective. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of like back and forth. I personally like that we got this. I think that it does kind of naturally lead us into the next season that we'll probably get years from now, unfortunately. But I do think that it would have been much more impactful to, one, leave the reveal of who Abby's dad was until this episode. I think that would have been so much better.
Would have been so good.
Like, it would have been so much better. And two, getting any sort of little flashback in between the two scenes, I think would have been nice. I am looking forward to the flashback with Abby's dad, where I forget the exact verbiage, where he's like, I would have made the same decision.
Yeah.
I forget what exactly, but I'm very excited to have because that moment is very much like, whoa, like crazy. But yeah,
or he wouldn't have made the same decision. He would have killed Abby.
He wouldn't have. Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited.
Even if it wasn't the full, because that bit is longer than I remember it in the game. It's like a solid like 30-minute segment, maybe like 20 to 30 of you going through and like, there's gameplay bits in there. They could probably cut it down to 5 or 10 minutes, but
introducing you to like how to play it. Like, not that you have all because Abby plays completely different from Ellie. So there's like a little bit of a learning curve. I don't know how much they have that in that segment, but
sure. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it could have, even if it was just Abby wakes up in Mariner Stadium or, whatever the knockoff name is in the show, and sees a picture of her dad, and we get like a quick flash to him in the operating room or something. Even if it was something that simple and we didn't get the full slow reveal that they do in the game, I almost like if I were to ever show this show to somebody that has no idea what it is, I would almost want to like censor some stuff of the first couple episodes and like have it until that comes up next season, because I don't know.
Cannot wait for us to try to fix this season. Next episode is going to be real good. Y'all have to come back. We're not done.
We're not done.
ClickerBaiters. I took a few more question or finale comments from our listeners before we wrap up everything. I am about to read their stuff and start wrapping us up. Any closing thoughts about this episode before I start sharing what our Discord peeps have shared?
Final thought for me, I'm pleasantly surprised that I think they mostly landed the plane. I still think 7 episodes, really 6, was not enough, like even more so than season 1. But I think ultimately it's still a good season of television. And I think it is still a good adaptation of The Last of Us. It's just a lot of my issues are picky, and I think ultimately it's still delivering a great show for people.
I agree. I think I was worried definitely in the last like episode or two or so. Like I was like, uh-oh, like this could go really bad and I could be really angry. And I'm not. I'm happy. I think that for the most part, I'm now on board with the direction that we're heading. I am very excited for the potential of getting new things next season and seeing Caitlin Dever fully step into her role as Abby. I think this last scene with her really made me like committed to this, like her being Abby. Yeah, I'm excited for where we're going. It is interesting because majority of our audience, I did before we get into the actual comments, I did run a little poll as well in our Discord that said, did you like where the season ended? The options were yes, no, or indifferent. We did have 2 votes for yes. So we'll just say 43% of people said no. They were not satisfied with where it ended. So that is interesting. And then it was tied for yes and indifferent. So that's all I'll say before we move on to the actual comments. But overall, I'm excited to see what happens next.
God, I'm ready to see the Rat King. That's what I can't wait to talk about. And hopefully maybe the Rat King eats Shimmer, you know? That'd be cool. I can't wait to see how Shimmer
I can't wait.
I mean, they got to get the horse to help them get back to Jackson, right? That's got to be the reason they're keeping Shimmer alive. I don't know.
Jerica, who do you hate more, Shimmer or the Seraphites?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good question. Seraphites. I will remove the shirt from my plans here. Seraphites. I just care about Lev and Yara and Abby. That's the only ones I care about. So I can't wait to see them next season.
Yeah. We I think someone mentioned it, but I loved the surgery of Yara.
Yeah.
Like seeing that, I was like, oh, that's fun.
It's gonna be fun to hear people make those connections if they do. Let's see.
Gabriel Petrolo said, why is there horsey animosity? It's purely like a bit at this point.
Yeah, it is a bit, but also like they still let Joel die, but they let Shimmer live. They got some power, okay? They got some power. They're choosing when people die in the show, or horses in this instance, which horses, I would say, Kayla, do you agree? Just as important as people?
I would agree, yes.
Horse fan, right? Anyways, High Score Weekly said the season was too short. I like where it ended for the show art, but it seems so unfinished, mostly because it is. I personally liked the episode, but I didn't feel like the season finale felt like it was the same amount of tension and progression as the rest of the normal episodes. Then D Gun said the season ended way better than how it started. We agree. I agree. I didn't mean to speak for y'all, but I agree. Episode 5, 6, 7, much better than 1 through 4. And then I think that's all I have. I felt like I had way more, but I guess I didn't. Anyways, I think next week we're going to talk about episode changes, what we overall like wanted to keep, what we want to get rid of, what do we hope for the next season. I might even try to like, obviously I want to go back and like rewatch some of the episodes. It's really, I always like to see how it's like back to back to back, how it flows a little bit better instead of having a week to reflect and get mad about certain things or thinking I love that because I finally got to see like Ellie and Dina hook up. So now I'm like the biggest fan of the TV show. But
we should do an episode ranking too.
Yes. Yeah, we should do that. And then I'm going to go back I'm going to go back and rewatch our predictions episode 2 and see what all we got right and wrong.
I love it.
Because I feel like I got some things right, but I feel like we also got a lot of things wrong. So very curious to see how that pans out. So you'll have to come back next week, guys.
Gonna have to. Same time
We're
next
not
week.
Done. We're not
Same
done.
time next week. Whew.
Hopefully Shimmer doesn't crash our computer.
It's PETA, I guess. They're mad at me. Thanks for giving me the heads up, Patrick. I'm glad to know that PETA's on my they're sniffing me out now, so I'll be careful. I'll be more careful. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a fun season. It's not over yet. Like I said, we got one more episode. We're going to break it down, predict a little bit for next season. It's going to be fun. Now we're ranking the episodes, so I'm ready to do that. I can't wait to see you back next week.
Can't wait. I want to hear what your favorite episode is. Be thinking about it. Be thinking about it. Maybe do a rewatch and then come back to us.
Yeah.
And let us know.
Yeah. 100% more finger blasting in the show
Wow.
is a big
Yeah.
consideration. Wow.
I love that song. It's a beautiful song.
Y'all have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.